All right, good to see everybody. If you hold it, they'll come, right? Everybody's hungry for some updates, information. Good afternoon. I just wanted to brief everybody on just what's going on here the last several weeks since we had our signing day press conference. Just wanted to brief everyone. I thought this was a great opportunity to get our players, all the new guys in front of you in the day and age of the transfer portal. Something that's unique about it is y'all don't get very long, if at all, an opportunity to get to know these guys through the recruiting process. And so they just kind of one day they just show up on campus, and then next thing you know we're practicing. And so I thought this would be a great opportunity as we're in the middle of a massive roster rebuild, as we all know that the last 13 and a half months. And I think that the roster, the 21 roster for the Alamo Bowl, we had 76 scholarship players. There's 53 of those 76 are no longer here. So there's been a massive rebuild the last several months, and we're bringing in 37 new scholarship players here by June 1st and 26 here at mid-year. So it's for me, it's incredibly important that I get these guys focused in front of everyone so that everyone can get to know them and help facilitate their transition sooner rather than later and expedite the maturation process. And this is a part of it. You play at a place, compete at a place like Oklahoma, being in this arena and being comfortable is really important. And I couldn't be more excited about introducing this group of players here with y'all here today. It's going to be, I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun with them. 33 days until spring football. And so that's coming quick. That first day of spring football, can't wait for that to get here. But we got a lot of work to do between now and then. We're 4 weeks into our out-of-season program. We're doing all the stuff that you would expect: mat drills, weight room, speed, conditioning, developing and teaching how we do what we do, systematically, transitioning certainly academically as well, and what the expectations are in the classroom, the accountability that it takes as well, and really on and off the field, making sure that these guys have a very clear vision for what we expect of them. So what I've seen through 4 weeks with this group of guys, and we're doing everything from segments and walkthroughs and just a lot of learning the playbooks on both sides of the ball. I've seen a great competitive depth, young men that chase excellence, football instincts, and really strong football intelligence, both with the high school and with the transfers. So, meeting the needs where we need. Again, just going back, the 37 guys that we're bringing in. And again, we've dressed the lines of scrimmage with 15 offensive and defensive linemen, 9 defensive linemen, and 6 offensive linemen, 5 linebackers, 8 DBs. As well, both safety and at corner, 3 tight ends, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and certainly a quarterback in Jackson Arnold. Just some dates to again put on everybody's calendar. Again, March 22nd. Again, that's 33 days from now. Be our first practice. March 30th is going to be our pro day. Where we have our guys in front of everybody. Just want everybody to have that on their calendar. And obviously April 22nd is the spring game, 65 days till that spring game. So it's coming quick. And just a reminder for, everybody talking about packing the palace again. And we need to break last year's, outstanding record. Obviously it was the best in college football last year, 75,000. So it has a tremendous impact on recruiting. That's a very real thing, show off the passion and the loyalty of the Sooner Nation, the type of environment that these young men would have an opportunity to compete at. It's a really important recruiting weekend. And then we'll release more information with some other logistical things in regards to the spring game, soon. And just again, a reminder for the renewal date for both season tickets and the Sooner Club. March 1st is the deadline for that. So just want to put that on everyone's calendar as well. Some other things that obviously are new since we last spoke is our schedule release, and it's exciting. It's a great schedule. It poses its challenges, but it's from Arkansas State, SMU, and going to Tulsa, First time in a while we've been to Cincinnati. Obviously, they've been to the playoffs here recently. And then we go to BYU as well. UCF is new on the schedule. Coach Malzahn and his staff will be coming October 21st. And then finishing with a team in TCU that played for the national championship on Friday, November 24th. So really exciting schedule. Glad that was finally put out there a few weeks back. And then again, the questions in regards to the SEC. That's incredibly exciting. Don't need to run from those questions. Well, I think it's going to be really great for Oklahoma, but our focus in our football team right now is the Big 12. And, we got to get better, and that's really kind of where our focus is. We need to get better to compete in this league before we worry about the SEC. That'll be here soon enough. But we got another great a year in the Big 12. Obviously it's a great league, very competitive, and that's where our focus is right now. There's no doubt we're building a program the right way in order to get where it needs to be. Got a lot of improving that we have to do, both personnel, roster, scheme, programmatically. There's how we can be more efficient and make the type of improvement that we need to make in order to be a championship program. And I know what championship teams look like. I've been in a bunch of them, and I know exactly what it takes to get there and to be able to maintain that championship level. But couldn't be more excited about, again, this year's team 129. Incredibly excited about our football program and transitioning over the next several months and the next couple of years. Just incredibly excited. So I'll open it up for questions.
Start with Barry on the right.
Yeah, Brent, on talking about the schedule going forward, you don't know the format of the SEC. What's your thought on the non-conference schedule? Any difference in your philosophy when you make the switch to conferences?
I'll be honest. You're talking about once they tell you whether you're going to play 8 or 9 conference games.
Right. Or maybe not, since you don't know for sure.
Yeah, we don't know. So obviously, I think it would align with exactly the way it's been here, under Joe's leadership, where we want to have a strong, entertaining, home schedule that's in alignment. Once you get the next several years of your schedule that are put out there, I think that you'll see that we still want to have a marquee type game and get something for the fans, in a matchup from a competition standpoint that everybody's excited about, all within the realms of, the totality of your schedule. So, we understand and recognize the challenges that schedule, once we get to that schedule, what that'll pose for you.
Okay, let's go to Ryan Aber.
Yeah, Brent, you touched on it there a little bit in your opening statement, the defensive line focus in this recruiting class, both freshmen and portal guys, especially with the portal guys. How important did you feel like it was to upgrade those spots quickly? And how do you feel like you did with adding guys like Trace and Rondell and some of the other ones?
Yeah, it was incredibly important. The games, as we know, are won and lost on the lines of scrimmage. We got to become a more physical football team, both sides of the line of scrimmage. And, personnel matters and the development piece matters. These are guys that, were incredibly productive when healthy. And, they bring a level of physical toughness that we're looking for, we believe. We certainly haven't started practice yet. We got that's on the agenda soon enough. But, addressing the lines of scrimmage, we lost a lot of guys. It's not like we all of a sudden have more than what you would normally have. We needed to reinforce, the trenches amongst other places. We bringing in 8 defensive backs. And, so I always believe that, one body, many parts, but, I think it can be a great equalizer when you get your offensive and defensive linemen and those parts of your program or football team rather, where it's a competitive advantage. And so we're certainly not there yet, but think that we've improved our team, tremendously with the additions, both in the portal and the high school guys that we brought along.
Just a follow-up. Trace's recruitment. What was that process like? And is it unusual at all? And do you think we'll see more of those kinds of things happen with just the reality of what the portal is right now?
I don't really look at, where they come from. There's some things that you would look at, what type of scheme they might be coming from and how it would transition to your scheme, their productivity. Are they coming from a winning culture? I think those things are important. But it's all about, the person and the fit on and off the field. And it was really pretty low maintenance. Maybe that question will be better suited for Trace. I don't look at it as a rival transfer at all myself. And I don't get into those weeds. And I just, again, for us, we're looking at, okay, where are our needs at? Who best fits that? Let's go after them. And if they fit, again, all the things that are on your checklist. And so it was a pretty low maintenance, recruiting process, to be honest with you.
Eric Bailey?
Brent, SEC question. You're up a year now. It's 18 months away before the move is made. Where do you feel like this program needs to make improvements, both facility-wise and personnel-wise, as you make this move to a different conference?
Yeah, for me, I just go back to where are we at right now, being inside out, regardless of the conference affiliation. We're in the Big 12. These are still the same improvements that we need to make. We need to make improvement in every single area in regards to this program. So again, continue to develop our roster through recruiting and again the development of our program, strength and conditioning, fundamentals, scheme development, football intelligence, continue to support all of our different areas of our program, from nutrition to elite recovery, to the academic support, to the facility. I know that's been laid out there. Those are all things that are important for the University of Oklahoma to be a championship program, regardless of the transition to one conference to the other. Had we not made the move to the SEC, every single thing I'm talking about still applies to where we're at right now as a program. And so, that's where we choose to be, being inside out. We recognize, everybody else is going to talk about, the conference, this conference and the differences. For us, trying to implement the blueprint for a championship program. This is our vision. It's not a championship program if we're in the Big 12 and then a different template for the SEC championship program. It's all the same to us.
We follow up and ask you, as a coach, do you prefer an 8 or a 9 game conference schedule? Is there a big difference between how many conference games you play in a season in your eyes?
There's pros and cons to all of it. And it really doesn't bode well for me to, really have an opinion for everybody to pick apart, because they're going to tell me, what the schedule is. And you know what? I don't mind that. And as long as it's the same for everybody, So that's, where I stand on that.
Thanks for doing this today.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, we'll come to left side and go down the line. James?
Brent, 8 weeks always has seemed to be a benchmark in the offseason with you. Could you talk about why that 2-week period, or, the 8 weeks is so important to you, and, what do you try to accomplish in every offseason?
I would just say that, looking to the future, maybe it's not the 8-week template. When I came through, the profession, both as a player and a coach, started at Kansas State, again, a developmental program. Believed strongly in creating a mindset, elite conditioning, a lot of strain, developing the football intelligence, both in the classroom, through walkthroughs, and then getting on the practice field a little later in the spring than some people. Everybody has their, differences of opinion. But for us right now, we need as much development as we can get. Again, this has been a massive, we're in a very small company when you talk about roster transformation, what's taken place the last 13 and a half months. And so our guys need to learn how to do what we do, and as much as they do anything else. And So whether you're developing the toughness or the physical strength improvement, developing your speed, developing your team, the cohesion, a lot of new guys. We don't have all these seasoned vets, and then we have this small group of guys that we're not counting on for 2 or 3 or 4 years. That's not where we're at right now. We're counting on every single one of these guys today and moving forward. So you're looking at virtually half of your scholarship players will be brand new, both here this semester and starting, June 1st. So spending as much time in the development phase, consistently, and again, starts, in that weight room. Nobody has more of an impact on the mindset of your team than your strength and conditioning part of your program. And so that's where we're at. One of the byproducts of that can be not in your favor the longer you wait, the longer you're on that practice, and then somebody gets hurt in late April, and that would potentially prevent them from coming back sooner, in fall camp or certainly for your season. So that's the risk and reward part of the process that you have to weigh based on what your needs are. And to me, that's an easy decision right now. Should it come to a day when we have a tremendous amount of guys coming back, more veterans, there's more carryover from, your bowl game to the start of the spring, where you have a lot of experience returning, I think that would, potentially, we may not use all 8 weeks, consecutively. You still have the time, you just would break it up. If that's 5 weeks and you start, and then you have 3 weeks on the back end after spring football, that's what you have to weigh. And so we're just trying to develop some momentum, and again, some longevity in regards to strength and conditioning, mindset, walkthroughs, meeting time, on the front end, and just be very thorough before we get to spring ball.
Mike?
Brent, you guys knew the quarterback you recruited. You've spoken very highly of him and the expectations you have ultimately for his time here. What have Jackson's first few weeks on campus looked like, and what's his presence been in his early time here?
Again, he's smart, he's tough, he's driven, he's humble, and really, if I said, I could really say that about the 26 guys. If I was, what else have you seen from this group? He exemplifies that in every way. He's a doer, very ambitious. He's not waiting on anybody. He's not waiting to be great. He, in his mind, from a humility standpoint, he feels he's got a long way to go. He's a confident guy, but he's a great teammate, and he's trying to learn and grow. I think, and that's just a very refreshing thing to be around. You won't see Jackson Arnold putting a mic in front of him and proclaiming about what he's getting ready to do. It's just not who he is. It's not in his DNA. And he's been a great, great leader. He makes everyone around him better. But he's in the back of the line right now, and but probably not for long. And I say that, not having to do with anybody else. It's just how he competes and how he works, and his talent is really good too. But he's a guy that is going to quickly earn both trust with his teammates, respect with his teammates, which I believe that respect is the greatest thing that you can have in a locker room, is respect of your teammates. And he quickly has, in a short period of time, earned the respect of his teammates through, again, his work and his actions and his humility.
Rouse is a guy, another interesting path to getting here. What impressed you about him in your recruitment, and given the position he plays and maybe the guy he's going to replace, how critical was getting him in here?
Yeah, he's a massive athlete on the offensive line. Obviously, he's a guy that Coach Biedenbow, very familiar with, had recruited him out of high school, out of Washington, D.C., and he's had an outstanding career, very successful career at Stanford. And I love, in a day and age where it could have been easy for him, I'm going to get this postseason surgery and go into the NFL, he had a great deal of humility, looked at the man in the mirror and says, I'm not where I know I'm capable of being as a player, mentally, physically. I need to improve. I need to get better. I need to be in a different type of environment that'll strain me in a different type of way. And at the end of the day, chose to come here under the tutelage of Coach Biedenbow, Coach Schmitty, his staff, and brings a lot of, again, wisdom and intelligence and a lot of life too, as you guys will find out soon enough. He's got a big personality, really sharp, incredibly intelligent, really neat young man, and meets a tremendous need for us, on the offensive line there at tackle, and particularly with Jacob Sexton's injury in our bowl game.
Yeah, Brent, DaSaan, Day, McCullough, just how that recruitment went down, when you realized you could get both instead of just one of them, and what DaSaan brings as a potential cheetah.
Yeah, so had familiarity with the family, an amazing story. Y'all probably, does most everybody know the story of their dad and Sherman Smith? Yes, yeah, pretty unique, but Google it. I don't want to waste everybody's time. I waste a lot of your time, right? I talk too much sometimes. I get a little long-winded, so I've been told. My daughters tell me that.
Teenage daughters?
Yeah, my teenage daughters. You don't want none of them. But wonderful family, incredible family, and it's really cool. The dad obviously is a coach. He's a running back coach at Notre Dame, and got to know their family very well through the recruiting process while I was at Clemson. He ended up choosing Ohio State. I don't want to, he can tell you the story and how everything went down, but we've been looking for safeties. We happened to come across Day's videotape and loved it, and realized quickly, wait, that's McCullough, And so we quickly connected the dots. Hadn't spoken with the family until that time, since had recruiting him a couple of years ago, and loved Day, set up the visits, and next thing I know, I don't know exactly how it went down, but next thing I know, I'm on the phone with DaSaan once he got into the transfer portal, and so we were like two sorority girls catching up. Just it was quick, it was easy in regards to conversation and getting back on the football side of it. Obviously, he spent a lot of time. He's a guy that's a football junkie. He understands schemes and development and opportunity, and obviously losing DaShaun White and was very appetizing for him. And again, we're still building our roster, recruiting to a roster that fits our system as well. So he saw it as a real opportunity for himself first and foremost, and then an opportunity to play alongside with his brother. I think was a great bonus for him. But he's a long guy. I thought coming from Indiana, they used him really well, used his skill set really well. Obviously, we had an impactful freshman year, and we'll use him in some of the same ways and some ways that are different. And so far through, again, some of our drill work and fundamentals and seeing what he can and can't do. And, he's not where he's going to be, I can promise you. But he's long and he's athletic, and his transitional movement's pretty good right now and improving daily. And so really a smart, tough, again, another hungry, humble guy. So you guys will enjoy getting a chance to visit with DaSaan, and again, got a great family, and probably the littlest one is probably the best of all of them. So that's saying a lot. He has another brother that plays collegiately as well. So they're a very athletic family.
Brent, wanted to ask you about your new receivers coach, Emmett Jones. Just when did you maybe identify him as a guy that made sense to come in and fit with the staff, and what can he bring, especially with this new group of receivers coming in?
Yeah, great question. I've known Coach Jones for several years, and incredibly well respected in the state of Texas. Just as a leader of men, recruited his schools, and got the chance to know him several years ago and watch and follow his growth and development, his path. and I've always had great admiration and respect for him as a man, and you know, his ability to develop players, how his players play, that matters to me. Certainly, he also has, you know, great ties to the state of Texas, and you know, and then he values a lot of the same things that I do in regards to coaching and developing people. You know, as a family man, he recognizes the excellence again that Oklahoma represents, and wanted an opportunity to you know, be a part of, you know, this great program. And so got great appreciation and respect for Coach Jones, and going to give our receivers exactly what they need in regards to the development, relational, and the scheme into fundamental development, you know, as much as anything as well. So fits great with our staff. Many of our staff had previous relationships with him, and everywhere he's been, you know, people say amazing things about him. Even when I spoke to several coaches at Texas Tech, both before the hire was final and after. And, you know, through it all, you know, people are like, you're getting a real one. So it's always good, you know, to get affirmation for what you feel strongly about. And but a great leader, and a man that has worked his way up the corporate ladder the right way.
All right.
Brent, your first stint here, JCs were big when you need that immediate help. I remember you guys like Lance Mitchell and Dante Nicholson were big additions for you. Now it's transfer guys. You haven't practiced, but do you see anybody, how important is it you get some immediate help like those guys were able to give you then with some of these transfer portal guys? Is that possible? Is that asking too much? Or
I don't think it's asking too much. I think it's very similar. I think you go back and utilize or lean on your experience in recruiting junior colleges. Whether I was at Kansas State, we recruited heavily in the junior colleges to supplement, you know, the rosters there. You know, the issue about that, you get turnover every couple of years. It's not an ideal thing. So when you get them, you better get guys that can make an impact. And so where that'll be, you know, is yet to be determined. But, you know, these are guys that we feel strongly are going to be able to make us better day one. And they'll still have to, you know, they're still going to get what they earn. And so there's a lot of work to do, you know, mentally to pick up, you know, new verbiage and a new language, and then, you know, the fundamentals within the schemes and those types of things. But we would not have signed them if we didn't feel like they would make us better, both immediately and potential guys that can potentially be starters. They'll certainly have every opportunity like everyone else on the team, but they're going to have to earn it as well. And that's part of the, you know, the recruiting pitch. I don't want to promise anybody anything other than an opportunity. And if the guys don't like that, then they're not going to be the right guys for us anyway. So, but this is a group of guys, again, that we feel like we're leaders, intelligent, tough, physical, have the athletic ability to make us better as well at the appropriate spots. And, you know, we would be incredibly disappointed if they weren't guys that contributed right away.
Okay, let's go right side, Justin Martinez.
Brent, you mentioned that when you first met with Austin Sogner, he was kind of just shaking your hand, letting him know he's out the door. But now that you've had some time to get to know him, just how would you describe him as a person?
Thankful. He's got he's really happy to be back, and I think he's in a comfortable place. I think he enjoyed his time at South Carolina, and maybe something that he needed in that time of his life. But also, I think it gave him an opportunity to have the right perspective about this opportunity here at the University of Oklahoma, and being close with his family, and having an opportunity to be in this type of system to highlight, quote unquote, his ability and the use of our tight end. So he's a worker. He's a tough guy. He's got a lot of juice and energy when it comes to competing. Obviously, he had previous relationships with some guys, and a lot of guys are gone, but he's just very comfortable. Easy, seamless transition for him thus far.
Jenny?
Brent, I'm wondering about linebacker position. You guys were admittedly thin there last year, lost a couple guys to the end of their time here. bringing in 2 mid-year, but do you feel like you have enough depth there? Or you were talking earlier about the linemen being, that's the focus. Is it safe to say linebackers are kind of the next part of rebuilding position-wise, or do you feel like you have enough at this point?
Well, I mean, I feel like we got exactly what we need. But, you know, and I think that's, you look at it like I do, like, golly, we really can't afford an injury here. You know, if that happens, it's to me a different conversation. And it just, the margin for error is small there. But I love the group of guys. And we've made exponential improvement from where we were a year ago at this time. And I really like the group where we're at right now. Would you like a little more experience there? Absolutely. But it's not just experience, it's experience that fits your system too. And, you know, so if you know, love, again, if you get, we can't afford to lose anybody. That's just all I'll say. You know, I just don't think that would be good for us. So there's always an opportunity. If there's if something like that happens, you know, we would look to try to you know, support our position there, you know, through possible, you know, transfers, you know, after the spring. But hopefully we don't have to address that, because I really like where the group is right now, mentally and physically, fundamentally. Their understanding, you know, you know, the segment meetings that we've had with them, and then the time that they come in on their own with the cut-ups that we've created, we've shown them, you know, a lot of the things that we got to get better at, you know, where we fell short last year, positionally, fundamentally, instinctually. Really thought that, you know, DaSaan and David and Danny all in their first year. I think David and Danny were in the top 5 in the conference in production. We're on the field a lot too. That's how I look at it too, you know, but they still did some really good things. There was some achievement there, but I feel like we're just barely scratching the surface on what that group still can be and needs to be for us to make the improvement on defense. For me, leadership, accountability, toughness, consistency, it starts there. If the D tackle gets scooped or cut off out of his gap, the backers can make him right. And the margin for error on the defensive line is very small. The closer to the ball you get, the harder it is to play. The more difficult it is, the more challenging it is. But the backers can make them right. And too often a year ago, we weren't able to do that. And you got to be able to do that. And so, you know, losing David and DaSaan creates more opportunity for other guys, but really excited about what I've seen thus far. And even last year, you know, you see the signs of it. You know, if it's Kobe McKenzie, you're like, man, he's got instincts, you know, very physical, every time we put him in inside row, he finds the ball. Some other things that he needed to continue to work on and get better. But those are some natural things that you can't coach. Jaron Kanik, he's got incredible, remember, he's a guy that never lined up at linebacker in his life until he came to Oklahoma. So there's whatever that transition is. But I've seen him like do this right here, and you want it there, but he was here, and really excited about where he's at, the ownership that he's taken, the hunger, the edge, the attitude, again, the humility through all of it. And he's a great leader already. You know, Kip Lewis, another young guy that's, you know, was 198 pounds, you know, benching about 250, you know, when he got here. So he had some physical, and he was our number 2 once Shane Witter went out. And but I love him too. His instincts, his ability to find the ball, plays fast, plays, again, for a wiry guy, plays physical. Danny was outstanding. You know, I think, you know, in our bowl game, I think it was quite obvious he's the best player on our defense. And I say that because I'm not worried about Danny, you know, getting full of himself. But I'm also going to recognize a guy that, you know, I think we can build a defense around. And he's got a lot to improve at too, you know, physically, fundamentally, understanding. But he's a guy he's been putting in the work. And he's fanatical about putting in work and improving. Got a great sense of desperation. And And again, I think at that Cheetah, we got a variety of guys that we'll look at there that I'm really excited about where that group is. I threw Kanik out there, but to me, it was a little bit like a fish out of water, further away from the ball. I thought he was more comfortable in the box once we teach him the run fits and all of those things and how to take on a blocker. He didn't know how to take on a blocker. You got to whoop someone and then you got to make the play. That's what defense is all about. Every play, whoop someone, make the play. And so he didn't know how to whoop anybody. So, but he's coming. But I'm really excited about that Cheetah. So between DaSaan and Justin Harrington, Peyton Bowen, Reggie Pearson, and we have a few guys learning a couple of positions, and we rely on guys that are good football players and that have some experience playing. A guy like Peyton Bowen, I think, is a guy that he's beyond his years in regards to football's easy for him. His schemes are easy for him. He comes from a very good program where he's been coached incredibly well with both terminology, systems, diversity within their schemes. They didn't just play one call. And so he understands ball and he finds the football. He's got a tremendous skill set. So him and Justin Harrington, who's long and athletic, we'll look at those guys, Reggie Pearson at multiple positions to try to help create some depth there. Great competition, moving forward. Shane's not fully cleared, but he can run around. He'll be cleared by the time we get the spring ball, so that he can compete as well and see if he can help us, this season as well. I think I covered all the linebackers that are, and then Phil Pachotti's here. Phil, again, another big Mike linebacker. He's a headhunter a lot. I think that he's learning how to do the drill work and some fundamental things, and his head's probably spinning a little bit right now, but I do think that once we get started with practice and things of that nature, we're going to find a guy that's got great instincts and can find the football. If they can't find the ball, that's a problem. I know that kind of goes without saying, but guys that are naturally instinctive, they can cover up for scheme issues, mental issues, things of that nature. And I believe Phil's going to be that type of guy. And then we'll have, a couple of other young guys that we feel great about in Sammy and Lewis, both are outside linebackers that we'll probably look at Lewis he could play in either of the three, but you got to start him somewhere. Sammy at probably the Cheetah and Lewis at the Will day one. And those are both guys that can run, that can hit, that can cover, got high football intelligence, come from really good, strong programs, that guys that like to work. They're good in the classroom, just really good leaders. I'm so excited about getting those guys as well at linebacker.
Time for just a few more. Brandon Drum, back right.
Yeah, just you guys had your coaches' stations this past week where you guys pushed your team really hard. Can you compare 2023 versus 2022? I know you guys were new with the team last year, so there was a lot of getting to know each other and all that type of stuff. But what do you see different in Team 129 than did in Team 128 as you guys went through all that?
Well, a lot of familiarity with what we're doing. So to me, that leads to better execution for whatever it is that you're doing. If it's a walkthrough, there's a different expectation. We're not having to coach the scout team. We're not splitting up and the offensive young guys that might be on the scout team in the fall or with the defense right now. We're actually utilizing the defense to give us a serviceable look. So that takes a lot of coaching. When you're asking a D tackle to come over and play left tackle, or maybe a defensive end to be the tight end, what you want him to do, and because you got to develop that. We got to become a better, smarter, situational football team, both sides of the ball, and for us on both sides of the ball, but particularly because I know we're doing a lot of walkthroughs versus an offensive look and the motions and the runs, the passes, all of those things. We're not having to coach the scout team as much as we were a year ago. So that just slows the growth process. Is really slow when everybody's brand new. So we're a lot further along there with what they're going to expect, then how we do what we do, coaching each other. So we actually have a veteran group, quote unquote. I don't think that we're real deep there, but we have a veteran group that can teach the 26 newcomers now. where a year ago at this time, everybody was a newcomer. So it wasn't like we got just a couple of new coaches. Everybody was new. And so we're just a lot further along. Strength, speed. I think this is if you compared the mid-years, I think that we got more depth than what we had a year ago. I think more impact players than we had a year ago. And then, again, we're further along in some of it because I think we recruited a really good class of football players, guys that have a very strong football acumen that's going to lend to a quicker transition, if you will. And a group of guys that are hungry, and they're in the film room. Danny Stutzman, he didn't come ask for a playbook for 8-10 weeks a year ago, and I wanted to see who was going to come ask for it, and so I know that we talked about that we had a good conversation and come to Jesus on what do you want to do with your career. Did you come here to be a funny guy, or do you want to be serious about being great? And obviously he's flipped the switch, but so we're a lot further along, and we didn't know anybody when we got here. So to me, it was important that we develop relationships with these guys, before we did the scheme, as well. So a lot further along mentally with where we were a year ago. Physically, I believe as well, and then we got to get all these guys, the 26 mid-years that are here, we got to get them transition quickly. Because we're going to need a bunch of them to help us, day one.
John Hoover, far right.
Brent, to expound on that a little bit on the newcomers, that transition period that new guys have, whether it's FBS Power 5 transfers or FCS or wherever you're getting them from all over, high schools, junior college, can you talk about maybe the transition element that those guys, in which you said you like what you're seeing, but can you maybe describe what it is that you like about these new 26 guys?
Well, I think it's a close group of guys. I know there's 12 collegiate transfers if you include Kendall Dolby as a junior college player. But the 14 high school guys were all pretty close through the recruiting process. Getting them transition quickly with all of the processes and how to utilize the university the right way academically, study hall, going to tutors, all of those types of things. What the expectations are. It's a group of guys that are very committed to excellence, as I said earlier. So you feel very strong that, we'll still hold them accountable and take them by the hand, but this is a group of guys that are going to be committed to going to class, doing the right things there, not getting in harm's way academically, and then again, learning the systems, things of that nature. We've had to literally tell them to turn the lights out when they leave. And so it's, again, very driven, very hungry. It's a group of guys that they recognize, to me, the work that it takes, to be successful. And again, the successful people, as we all know, got to be willing to do what others won't. And regardless of whatever the result's going to be. And, so a very committed group of guys. And again, so far they've shown a great deal of humility, intelligence, again, good football acumen, instinctual, transitionally. We're helping them in every way, helping foster what being on the team, all that means, working hard at starting over, making sure that everybody understands. I got to do a good job of rehearsing, again, our values, my beliefs, and continue to nurture the foundation of our program with all these new guys. So that takes a lot of work, a lot of intentionality, a lot of conversation, and because I got to do a great job of creating a vision for them and not letting them get overwhelmed with the burden of expectations. And so helping them transition that way too. Don't worry about getting a spring ball yet. Let's focus on today and trying to stack days. And so there's a lot of things I covered there, but it's important, too, that these guys get plugged in, with, their teammates, and because we need a close team, very successful football teams, championship teams. If there's something, they do things together. They're close. A lot of trust and respect for one another. So we've tried to foster, those relationships, as well.
Brent, defensive backs, on signing day you talked a lot about how versatile the entire group is. What's that process been like as far as just finding the spots you want to slot those guys in to start as kind of build that foundation?
Yeah, so it's addressing where we got to get better. We got to get better everywhere. It's like, where don't you have to get better? That's Captain Obvious here. So who, and again, I love the versatility. Where they start may not be where they finish. And maybe, I'm not talking necessarily this year, maybe it's in 2 years. And that's what the best about, I think, you look at guys that have won the Butkus Award, Teddy and Rocky both were multi-year starters at different positions and had incredible success. So that's the type of versatility, this group of 8 defensive backs. And so, we got to get better at corner. So, I want guys that, again, I just think the group of guys have instincts, they have ambition, they're going to attack their craft every day. Overall, so at corner we got Josiah, we got McCary, and we got Kendall working at corner. Those 3 guys, and then those 3 guys in particular are guys, again, are instinctive. They play big. Got really good cover skills. They're aggressive. Again, just natural instincts. Been well coached. And again, hungry, driven, intelligent. And then, the rest of the guys here at mid-year are at safety. Reggie and Peyton in particular. Those are the only guys right here at semester, I believe, right? At safety. Look, Eric McCarty is, he's coming off of ACL injury, so he's been over on the side rehabbing and doing great, doing really, really good. So all those guys could play a variety of positions, and I know I spoke about Peyton and Reggie already, and how we'll try to, at safety, I think those guys are going to make us better. They're both physical, play fast, hungry, driven. So I think we'll be an improved group, and we lost a bunch of guys. I think we know that. We lost a bunch of guys too. I'm not sure we didn't lose a lot of production in the secondary, but we lost a bunch of bodies.
Last one, Kerry Murdoch.
And Brent, I know I'm just one of many guys in here that's kind of fought for media access over the year, and more of it. So I just wanted to say thank you for allowing us to have a day like this today. I'm curious, kind of what is it that's different about you or different about the times we're in where you'll let all your freshmen come in and just talk to the media immediately before they play? Because I don't ever remember anything like that happening.
I think it goes back to the roster transformation. We're going to be more dependent on this group of players, than your normal. Again, say we'd been here for 5 years and had developed a program, and there wasn't all this massive turnover in the last 13 months. Again, 76 scholarship players, 53 are gone from 13 months ago. That's a bunch, and I bet it's up there with about any program in college football. And so, almost half of our scholarship guys, between by June 1st will be brand new. So I think it's just important. I thought if there was ever a time of the year everybody has a story. I think it's a great thing. Utilize this platform the right way. I think the day and age with social media, NIL, the stage that these guys create, the platforms that they create and expound upon on their own, why not provide them an opportunity to do it in front of all of you? And I think I'm trying to expedite their maturation process. Part of that is understanding that you get to deal with the media here, and they're going to write what you tell them to write, or again, they're going to write what they see. And so why not endear people? Take advantage of the platform the right way. It's not about you, but here's an opportunity to talk about yourself, tell the story. I think that's endearing to everybody. This is a place that, as we know, is incredibly passionate and incredibly proud. I think that people make the place, both on y'all's end, but also on the players. And I want y'all to see all the cool things that we saw through the recruiting process of why we were attracted to these guys and why we feel like they'll be a great fit here. So I just think that helping them transition is a part of that too. Instead of, y'all know and report what they do, and I think it's always cool to, why do they do what they do? You get a small window to be able to do that, get to know them on a different level. And then as I started out, when I started today, the portal, you're getting these guys that you're expecting to come in and make some kind of an immediate impact. Y'all don't know who they are in any way, shape, or form. You're not covering them virtually, through like you would Jackson Arnold. We got to know him for a year, and his family, his story, how he grew up, what all these things. These guys are, when they came on a visit to Oklahoma, they made an announcement. They would do that little pin emoji thing, right? And you're like, oh man, he's in Norman. And next thing you know, he's come to class, several days later. So there's not the same serenade, if you will. That's what the transfer portal has created. Like, who's this guy? Where's he from? What's his story? You don't know as much about. So I just thought it was a great opportunity for these guys to get in front of you, to get to know one another. And again, these are guys that we're going to have to count on. So, we're trying to be great right now. And I think this is a very small part, but I think it's an important part. I think it all matters. I want them to know, like, y'all going to ask a lot of football questions, and you're going to talk about, opportunity to impact. And I think this will be just a little fuel, believe it or not. They'll look at today. My feeling is they'll look at today as they get to come visit with you. There'll be a point in time when they're like, man, I don't want to do the media today, right? But not today. I think today's a day where they'll look forward to it. And so I think they'll put their best foot forward. And, for you guys, I think it'll be, beneficial, equally as well. But I think it'll be some fuel for them to, what's coming, whether it's spring ball or the next, this season, this fall, a little juice. After 4 weeks of baptizing them, I think this will be a good shot in the arm for them and for their moms and their dads and their families and their coaches also, to, be able to kind of have that moment. It's year round. We don't ever get a chance to like pause and like, let's embrace this moment. We got like 9 signing days now, and we're going to change them again, it looks like, shortly. And so this is an opportunity for us to have just a moment where we can all break bread together and, take our time through that process of getting to know one another.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks,
Okay, appreciate it, everybody.